Since you was ready last time, it was
Exactly, you're not supposed to be recording, but I'm gonna let you record because it's gonna be airing on TV. Anyway. Hey everybody, it's your girl Dr. Chinchila Jonesia, aka Chinchila J, the Queen of Justice. Wait, turn your thing a little bit.
What do you mean?
Your camera. Because you got like half of my body in there.
No, you're not important.
Gotta have the whole me in there, doggone it. Alright, here we go. Hey everybody, it's your girl Dr. Chinchila Jonesia, the Queen of Justice, and I am sitting here right now with Muti Ajamu-Osagboro. And listen, Muti, some of you have heard his story before, some of you have not, but tonight is not about his story. We're going to be talking about the importance of voting, because Muti, he was wrongfully incarcerated for 42 years behind bars for a crime that he did not commit, and Muti was a teenager, okay? And so we're going to talk about that tonight, the fact that Muti did not get a chance to vote because he was kidnapped from his family at the young age of, how old, Muti?
17.
The young age of 17, everybody. And we know that you can't register to vote until you're 18 years old. So Muti never had that opportunity to register to vote prior to being kidnapped from his family. And Muti just got out of prison last year, June 23rd, 2023, at the age of 59. And he celebrated his birthday and turned 60 on July 9th, right? July 9th?
61.
No, last year.
61. I turned the next month was my 60th birthday.
Right.
And then this year was my 61st birthday.
Duh, I said last year.
Okay, that's
when you
correct.
got out June 23rd, 2023, at the age of 59. You celebrated your birthday July 9th and turned 60.
That's correct.
Yes, that's correct.
Just checking.
Yes, everybody. And so, Muti, when you were wrongfully incarcerated and you turned 18, at that time, did you think about, wow, I can't vote? Did you think about voting at that age? But I know if you didn't at that age, sometime during the course of those 42 years, while you were wrongfully incarcerated, being the political type person that you are, and really into all the things that was going on out here in the society, all the corruption and all that stuff that was going on that you knew of, at any time were you like, wow, I wish I was able to vote?
Well, no.
Okay.
But voting was just like a step of progression for me, because as a child, I used to organize other children to pack the polls, to get to the polls, help elderly people get to the polls. I knew about political education, but voting is not the only political process. Voting is only a tool. It's not the panacea. It doesn't cure everything. It's not a cure-all. And I knew that as a young child.
Okay.
Because I used to organize adults, or help organize adults to get to the poll. I used to go to political meetings, political education.
Okay.
The people that basically were my life coaches, or my tutors, if you will, they taught me about politics.
Okay.
Among other things.
Okay.
Like voting was, all right, when you get old enough, you're going to vote.
Right.
But in terms of getting out to vote, like when they had that major push to elect Charles Bowser for mayor, we was in the mix.
Okay.
Like 13, 14 years old, just passing out flyers.
Okay.
etc.
So you started that young, doing all that stuff, and that's great. I used to do that too when I was young, and it was fun. Like getting to meet the different politicians and everything.
But when Frank Rizzo, not to cut you, but when Frank Rizzo tried to change the charter, we organized politically to stop the charter change. And to vote him down. And the slogan back then was 80's enough. He had ran 2 terms, and he wanted to run, a 3rd term and basically be mayor for life. And we was like, no charter change. We voted it down. And then, the rest is history.
So now you see you started at about 13, 14, 15. You were doing all that stuff.
Younger than that.
Younger than that.
At that time, that's
Okay. And so being in that arena at that time as a young child, and then being kidnapped off the streets, thrown in behind bars in this modern day slavery plantation, then you were 17, and then you turned 18. So did you ever think, wow, now I can't even vote?
No, that was the last thing in my mind. My focus was on proving my innocence and securing my freedom. The voting and all that stuff, that didn't come until later on down the line as I began to understood that my freedom was near at hand. Then you start thinking about those other things, like voting. Voting is just one part of a bigger scheme. Political scheme.
All right. So upon your your day of freedom, June 23rd of last year. So when you got out, I know that you did a lot of different things, and we were embarking on last year's general election, which was coming up in November. So how soon after you were released from prison, how soon did you register to vote?
Right away. Right away.
And did you vote in November last year for the general election?
Absolutely.
And so now that was your very first time voting in your entire life?
Yes.
Wow. So at that, and then you were 60 years old.
I took pictures of it and everything.
So at the age of 60, that was the very first time you voted. How did that feel?
Just like taking a hammer, putting a nail in the wall. Taking up some vice grips, screwing the nut, taking it out, putting it in or whatever, and keep it moving. It wasn't nothing real, you know what I'm saying? Really, the thing that I enjoyed about the process, because I wanted to pose, we got to see how things go on behind the scenes. That's what really got me excited. Meeting people, talking to people, hearing the different views. And because at the time I supported a candidate who was a Republican.
David-O.
And I enjoyed working the polls then, and I learned a lot about what goes on in Philadelphia. Oh my goodness. Corruption. All across the board. Political corruption, y'all. With a capital PC.
And that's the sure enough truth. So now I know I remember you had your little I voted sticker.
Yeah, I had that joint on my phone. It faded, though. I learned don't put it on your phone. It's not gonna last. Actually, what I should have did was I should have put it on some plastic, some wax paper or something. Put it in my scrapbook.
Yeah,
but that joint got dissolved.
Yeah.
The oil from the hands.
Oh, wow.
Bad idea.
Oh, so you don't have your first I voted sticker anymore. No. Well, you get another one and put it in your scrapbook. Yeah, get another one, put it in that scrapbook. So now for people out there that have the opportunity to vote, because they're out here that are not registered to vote yet, they're not even thinking about voting because they think that, their vote doesn't count, it's not going to change anything. What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, I would say that I understand you not wanting to vote and not wanting to participate in the process because there's so much corruption. They're not just two parties, but America's primarily pawned off as a duopoly. Republicans and Democrats, but there are many other third, fourth, and fifth parties. The Green Party, the Libertarians, the Independent Party, etc. But I would say to them, I understand you're not wanting to participate, but then I would say to them, let me try to give you some information, some knowledge about the political process that may interest you in for the first time, participate. Because I agree with the corruption, that it is corrupt, but it's corruption in both parties.
Yep.
And when you understand that, you can actually participate and get something from it. Like Dr. Umar talked about, other people when they vote, they get concessions before the election happens. They sit down with these political figures and demand concessions. And then once they back the political figures and they win, they get the concessions that they already set down for. We have to learn to do that. It talks about how their thing was fear. They use fear to make us vote. Joe Biden's not going to do anything for you, but Trump is worse. Did you see what they did?
Right.
I like when he said that. So that resonates with me. But that's on point. Driven by fear instead of knowledge.
Yeah.
So you can make an educated decision. My view is this: black people in this country, brown people in this country, poor white people in this country, specifically African people, we need to have an agenda.
Oh yeah.
And our agenda has to be our interest. We have to vote our interests. And take our agenda to all candidates. And whoever backs our agenda, we will back them and make them win. Whoever's against our agenda, we will go against them.
Exactly.
We can't have permanent friends or permanent enemies. We have to have permanent interests. And our friends and our enemies are predicated on what our interest is for that particular season, that particular political cycle. And whoever backs us is our friend. Whoever's against us is our enemy.
Exactly.
And then, one election, they may be our friend. The next election, they may be our enemy.
Exactly.
And based on our interests.
And actually, if they do what they say they're going to do, because some of them...
Then they can be our friend. Again.
Because so many of them, they'll play that game like, oh yeah, I know how that is. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They're going to do this.
I'm going to say this. But this is where political education comes in. Because in my view, political education would allow you to discern an individual candidate coming before you, talking about what they're going to do for you, thus and so. The best indication for me of whether or not a person is going to do what they said they do, have they already been doing?
That's right.
What is their track record?
That's right.
And if you don't find nowhere in their track record what they now all of a sudden talking about doing, you can best bet that they ain't gonna do it.
That's
they
right.
ain't gonna do it.
That's right.
And so because we don't do our homework as a people, we're politically immature. We don't do that type of homework, that type of research. And as a result, we vote primarily for the individuals who are the gatekeepers, who they tell us to vote for, and we get the shaft every year.
And that's so true. And that's why I always tell people, you can't do that. Like, do your homework. What have they done? I mean, look at their past, especially those that are already politicians. Okay, it shows clearly what they have done, what they have not done, where their interests lie, and it's just crazy. It's like a game. It's just a game of a revolving door, and we have to either make that door open instead of revolving. It has to either be open or it has to be shut. And so, with this political game that they play, it's just crazy. And so it has people like, well, like you said, they see a commercial. Like these commercials, they're propaganda. They're, the Democrats, of course, they're going to put out commercials and bash the other candidate. Same way the Republicans are going to bash the Democratic candidate. And we have to filter through all that because some stuff is true, and then there are a lot of lies added in on both sides. And so it's important that people know and can, like you said, discern. And if you can't tell a lie, and people believe a lie because they don't know the truth, because they have not done any homework and they don't follow politics. And so, and that's a sad thing. And so it does come down to educating oneself to know how to vote. And, and then the thing that a lot of people make the mistake of doing, and I don't want to just say black people because white people do the same thing, because I talk to a lot of them. And so many people make the mistake of, if they're a registered Democrat or if they're a registered Republican, that's all they do. They go into the voting poll and they say, I vote straight Democrat all my life because that's what my mother did and my grandmother. They vote straight Democrat or they vote straight Republican. And that is very bad, people, because if you have a Democrat that is not, like, really concerned about you as their constituents, it's bad. Why vote straight Democrat? If there's a Republican over there that has a better track record and is listening to the constituents and want to make a difference, then that Republican is the better candidate. So you may have somebody that's not in your political party that is the better candidate. And so with that, it's so sad that people will still rather just vote for whatever party that they're affiliated with. Or either vote for a woman because they're a woman, or vote for a black person because they're a black person. And we can't go by color. We can't go by gender. We can't go by political affiliation.
As you well know, I'm on the clock, so if you have some questions for me, please get to the questions.
Yeah, but this is a show, so I'm gonna talk it and doing stuff like that too, and ask you questions at the same time. Okay, all right. And so this is that part out. This is for the TV show. Okay, so anyway, what I want you to say to, especially to the younger people that are out here, people that are just turning 18, people in their 20s, what would you say to them to get them out to vote? Is there anything we can say to these young people to get them interested in voting, for the ones that don't vote, and also the ones that are our age, because there are people our age that's been out here all their lives that have never voted?
Political education, we have to revamp everything. For African people, it has to be different. We have to create a whole new language, new lexicon of how to talk, how to communicate, what voting is about, what politics is about. Because voting is a very small part of politics. That's important. For us, we need to understand that there's a difference between a politician and a public servant. They're both elected, but one serves the people and sacrifices themselves. The other one sacrifices the people and serves themselves. That's the politician. The other one is the public servant. You have to, knowing those definitions, you have to determine which one is the public servant, back to public servant, and go against the politician. The politician is into business as usual. That is, the people suffer, and they enrich themselves and a few of their cronies and a few of the gatekeepers, and everybody else suffers. So the political education for young people has to be completely different from what they're getting now. They have to be taught that education is not just about the vote, because the powers that be just want them to focus on the vote. Get in here, pull that lever, we'll take care of the rest.
Yeah.
We have to understand that when you put somebody in office, now we have to shepherd them in office while they're in office, because there's corruption all around them.
Yeah.
And if the person goes in there with good intentions, morals, and integrity, there's lots of temptation. So we have to monitor them.
Yeah.
And be there to keep them in line. And if they start to veer off and get on and say, no, you know what we elected you for. I mean, we have to have city council watch, where we go down, have people elected in each community, go down there and watch city council every week.
Yeah.
And rotate people so everybody can have a vast understanding of what's going on. Going down to the mayor's office and watching the mayor move the way that they move. In any other political offices, we go down and watch the city solicitor argue cases in court. We go down and watch the court through Court Watch, or through the North Philly Participatory Defense Hub, or the West Philly Participatory Defense Hub, and familiarize ourselves with the political process, because yes, what goes on in the courts, that's a part of the political process.
Yeah.
And everything eventually winds up in court, whether it's real estate, whether it's family rights for your children, mother and father having rights to the child, etc., etc., etc. So, and that's political. People refer to it as law, but law is intertwined with politics. And the more we know about it, the better off and the more powerful we are, and the better the decisions that we can make when making a decision, whether we yay or nay, whether we for something, against something, whether we want to vote for somebody or vote somebody out, etc., etc.
Okay.
So the education has to be new, it has to be fresh, and it has to be independent of what already exists, because the language that's used now only perpetuates the status quo.
Okay. And now with this upcoming presidential election, we know we have Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris. He was the former former president Donald Trump, and the current vice president Kamala Harris. With all of the debates that have been going on, no one has yet brought up anything about criminal justice reform. No one has talked about wrongful convictions. No one has talked about exoneration compensation for states that don't have bills in place yet. So what would you say to that? Because they're not talking about these issues. They're talking about the economy. They're talking about the war. They're talking about everything other than what my issues are, like what I stand up and fight for, and what you stand up and fight for and fight against. We're not hearing any of that.
Well, primarily because you look at the background of both of the candidates. One is a convicted criminal, a convicted felon, multiple charges, multiple cases, and got other cases coming down the pipe where the likelihood of being convicted in those cases is very high as well. And then you got a former prosecutor who people don't want to admit she broke the law in order to get convictions. She sent many black and brown and poor white people to prison. And as Janet Jackson pointed out, yeah, this is the one that prosecuted my brother and did all kinds of dastardly things to try to convict my brother, but failed. So neither one of them are going to talk about the things that you referred to in terms of so-called justice reform, which we call court restorative justice. Neither one of them are going to talk about those things. And to show you how glaring and frightening it is, they just executed, they murdered an innocent man. They had the evidence in their hand that this man was innocent, and they still murdered him. And neither one of those candidates said a damn thing about it.
Didn't say nothing about it, and that's a darn shame.
Peep.
That's a
peep.
That is sinful. It is just horrible, because, like you said, the evidence was there, and the damn governor, was it Parsons, or was it Governor Parsons? It was Governor Parsons. He didn't even. I mean, he would not even just give it a week to look at the evidence.
Disgraceful.
It's horrible.
Disgraceful.
That was just straight up murder.
But when you understand the history of the death penalty in America, like America, the death penalty in America was created, the American court system was created on raw, unapologetic white supremacy.
Yep.
And in white supremacy, taking the life of black women, black children, black men is routine. Yeah. And so there to the system of white supremacy, which is the basis of American court system, which is the basis of America in totality, there is no such thing as an innocent black person.
Right.
There's no such thing as a innocent black child.
Right.
Or innocent black woman, or innocent black man.
Yeah.
And so, much to what they say this country is about and the rights that we allegedly have, that's a sham. Yeah. And that's a disgrace. It is. And they prove it to us day in and day out. And this particular death penalty case proved it, solidified that both that you running for the highest political office in this country, and an innocent person, a person who has the evidence The DNA evidence.
Right.
DNA is neutral. It's not pro-prosecution or pro-defense.
Right.
It's not anti-prosecution or anti-defense.
Yes.
It's separate and it's independent.
Yeah.
It says that the person y'all say committed this crime,
Right.
this evidence says he did not commit the
Exactly.
crime.
Right.
But y'all still murdered.
Yeah.
That's
Still
cold-blooded
him.
murder. That's premeditated murder.
That's premeditated murder, definitely.
And neither one of the candidates said a thing.
None of them. None of them. And then, to make it so bad, we have a president, the
Which is
current
why
president, Biden. He could
I'm
even
voting
did
for
something. You know?
Dr. Cornel West for president.
Yeah. He's a write-in, everybody. He's a write-in. And, you know, it's sad. And then with the mainstream media, okay, all the write-in candidates, no matter what level of political candidacy that they're running for, like mainstream media won't give them the time of day. They don't want them in the cameras. They don't want to hear from them, which is it's unfair. You know, that's like being biased to the two major parties, and you know that's not fair. What do you think about that?
The duopoly. I mean, that's how they perpetuate the duopoly. The notion that there's only two parties or two major parties when there are multiple parties. We have to stop playing that game. Like you said, you use the term game, and a lot of us use that term game. It's not a game. It's evil.
Oh yeah,
And we gotta start.
wicked.
We gotta start calling it what it is. That's evil. Like people say, well, they playing games, but you're like, no, they're doing evil with your life.
Yeah.
They're doing evil against your life. We gotta start calling it what it is. And by giving things the proper name and identifying the people and the practices, it becomes clear for the people that's coming up, like the children, who are confused by what's going on.
Yeah.
Then they know that, okay, that's evil. Okay, so either I want to practice evil or I want to stay away from evil.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of calling it, you know, a game, and you know, because games are for fun and you laugh and joke and so
Well,
forth.
they
so,
see it as fun.
yeah, but that's because they have twisted reality. And what we do is we bring clarity back, because that's confusion. Euphemisms create confusion.
Yeah.
And when you name a thing by what it is, that creates clarity. If that practice is evil, then say it's evil. And then so now, because don't nobody care about playing games. Everybody want to play games.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we know that there's some games that's not games that in fact are evil. So let's call it evil and stop saying games. You know what I'm saying? There's many things or terminology that we use. We need to stay away, throw them in the trash can, and create new terms that aptly describe the crimes being committed. And that brings clarity for the novices in politics and the babies that's coming up. And the veterans who can't see their way out of it and stuck in the duopoly, it gives them a way out too.
Okay.
To go elsewhere.
Okay.
New
Now, what I was
language.
referring to with political games, not quite the same.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to like talking about, for me, like with wrongful incarcerations and wrongful convictions and all of that stuff, yes, that's evil, that's wicked. And, you know, I often refer to that, biblically speaking, and not trying to get religious on y'all, but, you know, the Bible talks about in Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 17, it talks about the spiritual wickedness in high places in that first part. You know, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Principalities.
Yeah, the principalities and all of that. And see, they're the spiritual wickedness in the high places. We have the judges, we have the lawyers, the police officers, and all these politicians. They're spiritually wicked. And they're sitting high, they look low, and that's all they're doing is bringing about evil with their corruption and all of that stuff. And yes, so they are wicked, they are evil, and these are their practices, and that's who they are. And but unfortunately, people can't see that that's who they are, and especially if these same ones keep getting elected over and over and over again, and people have seen that they didn't do a damn thing for you. They didn't do a damn thing for the community. They haven't changed a thing. They did nothing that they promised, but yet people keep voting them into office.
Well, I would, in spirit, I know what you're saying, but I would disagree with you in substance because they did do something for the people that made them feel good.
Yeah, we're giving out, what, turkeys?
Tampons,
book bags?
Tampons, as Wanda says, tampons and turkeys and so forth.
And book bags.
Book bags.
And book bags, that's what they do every year.
Sometimes bicycles.
Oh yeah, Jordan Harris is good for that with the bicycles.
So they did do something that made them feel good.
Yeah, that's
while the things of substance, they did absolutely
right. And I tell people all the time, you vote for them because what? They throw their little community festivals and they have these rappers, and have the big rappers come out and the food, and they're paying these celebrities all this money to come into our community.
Money that they can
instead of
invest into our
exactly. And yet it's just so, it gets on my nerves so bad that people are just so like stuck, like they just, it's like, I don't know, like it's hard to reach these, especially the older ones. The older ones, they're set in their ways and they just want to keep doing what they've been doing. But as long as they keep doing what they've been doing, they're going to keep getting the same results, which is nothing. Like nothing really to build the communities up. And with all the stuff that's going on now with all the city is just totally different now. All across the city now. And property taxes are going up. People done lost their homes. A lot of seniors have already been pushed out of their homes. And now for this year, like Sherelle Parker, for instance, she said, when she was running, doing her campaign, I'm not raising any property taxes. But what did she do? She raised property taxes. So in 2025, people's property taxes now have almost tripled for 2025. And people, if your property taxes triple, y'all better do something, okay? Because what happens, people, they don't fight. So when the property taxes are raised, they are trying to pay that bill. If they can't pay it, they wind up losing their house. But you can appeal it. So y'all have until October 7th to appeal it.
That's why education is so important.
Yeah.
Most people don't know
they don't
that
know.
You can appeal it.
Yeah.
And that there's a process, like the form, reading the form.
Yep.
What time to file, when you can file.
Exactly.
How long the document can be.
Yep.
Whether or not you can attach exhibits to
yep,
it,
exactly.
et cetera.
Yeah. So y'all have to start reading because this is why, black people, you know how they said back in the day, like if you put it in a book or put it in writing, black people won't know because they don't read.
Right. But that's not true anymore. Black people read effectively and efficiently. However, the content of what we read is not up to par, can be improved. But we read and we buy books now too. But we just need to start buying the right books.
Yeah, not
reading a lot of novels,
a
lot of romance novels.
Yeah, right. Like instead of stuff to give us your knowledge and
information.
Right.
Stuff about the process in which we, about our health, about politics, about living, about real estate, home ownership,
exactly,
generational wealth, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Yep. So these are the things, people, that you must start focusing on. And not focusing on junk, okay, just stuff. And like now, this is probably about the last thing I'm going to talk about nationally. So like every election, okay, is important. Whether it's a primary election, general election, whether it's a non-presidential election or, just voting for your senators or your state representatives, every election is important. Even if it's just voting for city council members, because they're the ones that run your city, people. And so, since they're all important, every single year, around every election, there's always stuff out there in the media to distract us and take people's focus off of the political stuff. And it's then directed to this nonsense. Like this year, now, the presidential election, what is it? P. Diddy, okay? Everybody's focused on P. Diddy and what's happening with that instead of concentrating on what's going on, like right here. And while people are focusing on that, right here in this city, they're doing stuff. that people don't realize because they're busy focusing on other stuff. They're doing stuff in the state, like passing bills and laws and doing all this other stuff people don't know about because they're not paying attention. So what do you think about that? That's evil, right? That is evil.
Absolutely. I think that those of us in leadership positions or aspiring to be leaders, because you have misleaders and then you have leaders. Mostly right now, the misleaders are calling the shots, but we have to replace them with real leaders.
Yeah.
And those of us who fancy ourselves to be leaders have to replace the misleaders and become leaders and guide our people correctly. And part of that process is creating like political clubs, political classes to educate and to teach things like mental discipline, spiritual discipline, psychological discipline, so that when the tricks come down the pike, like the Diddy stories, because last time it was R. Kelly. It's a distraction. And so we teach that type of discipline so that, okay, you got to keep your eyes on the prize. Stay on the focus.
Right.
You know, and then give examples in our history of sisters and brothers who were disciplined and who had the same distractions, if not greater distractions, but still kept their eyes on the prize. And so, you know, the onus is on us. The onus is on us. If the job is not getting it done, that's because those who allegedly know the most or been through the most have not successfally created a way to bring the message to the masses so that they can benefit from it as well. And until we do that, we're going to continue to suffer. But there are sisters and brothers all across the city of Philadelphia, all across Philadelphia County, all across the state of Pennsylvania, and all 66 counties that are working, that are doing these things. We just have to begin to connect with one another, like we connected with each other all over the country, and some places in the world, and share that information, and share that knowledge, and impart that knowledge and information first with ourselves, then with our families, then in our communities, and our geographical locations in the cities in which we find ourselves living, and then the entire city, the entire county, and the other counties, the other states, Jersey, Delaware, New York, Connecticut, etc., 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 and share that information. That's our power, the ability to educate and simplify what it is we're going up against. And when you simplify, then you can get efficiency, clarity, and effectiveness. And then we can get jobs done that otherwise would seem undoable.
So people, y'all, we gave you something to really think about and to really like take heed, because I mean, this is life. This is real life. And if you want to see a difference, then you have to do something different, okay? If you want to see change, you have to be the change you want to see. And that means by doing something different than what you normally do. And again, Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, they're not the only two candidates running for president. They're not the only two. Cornel West is running for president. And so is Susan Laki Boxer. I always mess up her last name. Bookser is her last name. She's also running. And so you need to look at Dr.
Cornel West and Dr. Mela Abdullah for vice president, his vice president.
Melena, Dr. Melena Abdullah, she is running as well, and they're going to be on News Forum. But and Susan Bookser, she was on already, but you all definitely want to look at these other candidates because, and listen to what they're saying. And have you seen the lady Susan yet? Have you? Susan, she's a white lady. Susan Bookser.
I may have.
Okay.
I may have.
She's, if you watch the
social media.
Yeah, but if you watch the rally from last week up in Harrisburg, she was on there speaking. And then the last one she spoke at as well. And so now here's a woman that she's from West Virginia, and she, really had never looked at wrongful convictions and all that stuff, and so she started hearing these stories. And like this woman, I mean, she now she's so on point, and she, you know, even admitted like at one time in her life she was all for the death penalty.
Right.
Until she said like a few years ago how, you know, she changed her mind about the death penalty because it's wrong. And now with the wrongful convictions, oh my God, she met a lot of the exonerees, and she's just like really genuine, very genuine, because she said she had no clue, like all that stuff and everything that she was learning. Like they don't have a clue until they're exposed to it and see and really hear and realize, whoa, this is real. This, you know, and so, you know, until people actually meet someone, and because now, you know, so many people are hearing it.
Or meet someone that met someone.
Right.
Because when I was in prison, we used to go to church up at Camp Hill, and they had this big banner on the wall, and it said, "You may be the only Bible somebody reads."
Yeah.
Meaning that they're not going to read it, but they're going to read you because you read it or you heard it, the preacher give it up.
Right, right.
And that's going to be their experience.
Yeah.
So the same thing with us. They may never meet an exoneree, but they may not meet an exoneree, but they may meet somebody who met a whole bunch of exonerees.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why we got it. That's why, again, it comes back to education.
Education. Yes, so now she's educated, she's knowledgeable now, and then her whole language and everything is so different, and check her out though, because she talks about like the voting process and her like what she wants to see done with voting, and it makes sense. Like the whole voting process, the way it is today, and then the way she is trying to get it to be, it makes sense.
Right.
And I was like, wow, okay. At first, when she first told me that, I'm like, but then as she began to really explain what she meant,
lay it out.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. But Luti, I thank you so much. Taking this time out. Yes, it is. And we will definitely chat again.
You don't know
as I say again.
To get here.
I know, right? Yes. But anyway, we here, y'all. We here. And we did this. And wow. Vote, people. It's your duty. It's your right to vote. Okay? There was a time when you couldn't vote, Black America. Okay? And now y'all can. And so many of you won't. So please get out and vote. November 5th is election day. The polls here in Philadelphia open up 7 a.m. They close at 8 p.m. If you are in line by 8 p.m., guess what? They cannot tell you, oh, you can't go in now. They can't lock the door if you're already in line. They have to let everybody in that line vote if you're in the line before 8 p.m. or by 8 p.m. You got to be in that line. The last day to register to vote is October 21st. Make sure you get registered. You can do it in person. They have different satellite offices now here in Philadelphia. Or you can go online and vote, which is the easiest way to vote, is to do it online, pa.vote.gov. Okay? So, or you can just go to the pa.gov website or vote.usa. However you want to do it. It's a lot of ways to vote online, but make sure you're on the right government site. Okay? And it's not one of those bogus sites. But definitely register to vote. And again, November 5th is election day. All right, y'all. I'm Dr. Chinchila J.
I'm General Ajamu-Osagboro.
Yes.
General is my title. Ajamu-Osagboro is my name. Hotep after freedom. Ohuhu after the ancient, realistic freedom. Harambe, 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 Harambe. Let's pull together. Uhuru Nikasi, freedom is work.
Yes, it is. And if any of you out there, if you're experiencing any type of injustice in America, please feel free to reach out to me. Okay, I expose injustices. I mainly concentrate on wrongful convictions, wrongful incarcerations, and mass incarcerations, and as we call it, child deathers, which you all know as juvenile lifers. If you are in any of those categories or somebody that's been over sentenced, please get in touch with me so that we can advocate for you. If you have a loved one that's wrongfully incarcerated and would like to tell their story on my podcast, Cries of Innocence Behind Prison Walls, or on News Forum, which is the radio show, please reach out to me at 844-642-8378, extension 888, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. And guess what? I'll get you on there. And guess what? There is no charge. You don't have to pay to come on my show. You don't have to pay to be on Cries of Innocence from Behind Prison Walls. You don't have to pay for us to advocate for you either, okay? So I do not charge because I feel as though families have been through enough already with a loved one being wrongfully incarcerated. And a lot of you done put out thousands and thousands of dollars on lawyer fees. The lawyers that just kick you in the butt and to shit all over you, basically. So, anyway, y'all, I'm Dr. Chinchila.